So we're with Albert Crane again, the great executive producer. This time we're talking about Lines of Determination, the David Wagner story. We are with David Wagner himself and the director, Alex de Montbel. Am I saying that right, Alex
Yes,
de Montbel?
you got it.
All right, so guys, this is another one of Albert's production companies or websites creations about human the positive of human nature. So tell me about you guys getting together to make this film. So Albert, did you kind of did you know about David Wagner before? I'm talking to him like he's not in the room, but did you know about David before? And did you kind of like when did you want to make a film about him?
Sure. David's story was new to me. I actually met Alex first before I've
Okay.
met David. Alex and I participated in the same festival with one of my previous stories, and I went up against him as for the audience award. I saw his film being kind of amazing. He did something for CBS, like a tribute to their 20 years of existence 2 years ago, and then last year I asked him what it would take for him to do a film for me. He took a couple months to think about it. He saw David and was like, "How about we do a story on David?" He pitched me the story, and I mean, a lot of times, I think I've told you, I've never said no to a story before. If somebody comes and pitches me a story and it meets our criteria, I go forward with it. So I couldn't say no. First of all, to David's story because it's awesome and I can't wait for you to hear it. But also I love the fact that Alex was a local film crew and director here in Virginia, and we got to film somebody that was in Virginia so that we could start like having a kind of a connection here from California to Virginia when I moved like what 2 years ago. And so Alex has been a huge help for me because we got to meet David, and I can't wait for you to like kind of tell your story, David. But also having Alex as a connection here in Virginia has been truly amazing.
So, Alex, you got a nice like list of credits. You've done some a lot of commercials, other documentaries. You obviously hooked up with Albert. What made? What wanted you? Why did you want to make a story about David Wagner?
Yeah, so I've known David for a couple of years. I part of my work in Charlottesville is I'm the executive director of a local tennis association, and so we've worked with David a lot over the past few years doing a wheelchair tennis camp that happens once a year at a local tennis club here in Charlottesville. And so I had easy access to David, and his story was super inspiring, and it was just really great working with him on that capacity. And so when Albert approached me with the idea of coming up with a documentary that initially Albert said the only criteria was it has to be inspiring and it has to be true. And I thought, well, David fits that criteria, and his story is definitely inspiring and furthers, all of our missions to expose wheelchair tennis a bit more. And a lot of people don't know that that sport exists. A lot of people don't know that that sport's an option for people with a disability. And so to be able to shed more light on it through this media is just been awesome. And I think that was a big motivation of why I wanted to tell the story, because David's been awesome to work with and just really wanted to tell his story.
So the background of David, 21 years old, he was surfing, hit his head into the ocean floor, paralyzed, very accomplished athlete already, 21 years old. Obviously, changes his whole life. There's almost like a feature film in here to give you guys, you know what I mean? Because you're kind of jumping in on he's already kind of accomplished. Like I'm sure there's been some there's a story right from before before the accident and after. Like, a lot of people don't recover from this from an emotional level, and David did. Just David, I'm curious. Did you want to be documented? Like, how was your feeling to be documented in a film like this?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, great. That's funny you say that. I knew Alex, like he said, through the wheelchair tennis clinics that we've put on there in Charlottesville, and he kind of approached me, and I think it was actually via email one time that the email came, or a message, text message or something came through, and I'm never one to like kind of self promote myself a whole lot, and so at first I was like, I don't know, and then I kind of assumed it was like, and this is no offense because I didn't know how good Alex and Albert were, and so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they're just gonna be there with their cell phones and like filming and like, okay, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about yourself, and 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 then Alex sent like not a script, but like a idea, or
Mhm.
the kind of the, I don't know, what do you call that, Alex?
Like
The
a
like,
vision board kind
Yeah.
of
yeah,
layout.
like a vision board, and I looked it over and I was like, damn, yeah, this is big time. So just once I read it and saw the vision of the vision board, I thought, wow, this could be really cool. And then Alex arranged for us to do all the talking, or most of the talking bits, when I was there in Charlottesville, and he planned a trip to come out to here, to San Diego where I'm at, and be at a tournament with me, and kind of get some other footage and stuff. And when I saw his camera set up, and I was like, what? This is yeah, this has the potential to be like
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah.
And it's funny to go do stuff and have a camera kind of follow you around, and uh think you're completely normal with a camera right there in front of you the whole time. So that took a little bit of time for me because I'm not used to that. But Alex was great to work with, and I had a blast with him here in San Diego, and just felt really comfortable to share my life story in that situation.
So you trusted them. That's a big thing, where you trust your subject, because he's telling your story, right? So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that he's honest, and he gets it right at the same time, right?
Yeah, 100%, it's easy for me to tell my life story to people, because it is my life story. But for him to have the vision and the wherewithal to put it together and make it uh, come across as it does is pretty awesome to just see it come to fruition. So
So Alex, the for me personally, the what I liked about the film, the best moments of the film is when you're sitting down on the kitchen table and kind of bringing out his photos and kind of getting nostalgic about his past. It's a really nicely shot film. Was that always kind of one of your ideas, to kind of get him to kind of reminisce, bring out his like personal stuff and kind of document it?
So I definitely knew that I wanted to get something where he was actually kind of reminiscing in his past a little bit. I always, from like a cinematography standpoint, I always prefer to actually incorporate, like, if there's physical photos, whether they're framed or just photographs on a table. I like to film them in real life versus just like putting them up on a screen,
Yeah.
just because I like the flow of that and the cinematography better. So I knew that was something I wanted to do if David had the photos. And I remember when we were initially trying to think if he had any photos, David wasn't sure if he had some older ones, and then he was able to find some, which was awesome. And it just really worked out well that we were able to get that in San Diego, and he was able to kind of thumb through them, and a lot of them had some great stories behind them, and it just really it gave a lot of the needed foundation for the story, to provide the visuals, because obviously didn't want to like go down the route of like reenacting the injury or
Yeah.
anything. It helped provide those visuals in the moments that he was describing, what happened during the accident, and then kind of the whole recovery. So I think that was really the thought process behind that scene, and those are some of my favorite shots in the film as well. Is
Yeah.
just seeing that setting, and just the context it provides.
Just from a technical level, easier said than done to get the accomplish those shots too, right? Like in terms of focus and making the
Yeah,
framing right. Like, cause you're kind of he's showing you the photos, and you're not kind of, you don't want to direct them per se, right? Like,
right. Yeah, so I think I remember kind of just asking David, can you talk about this photo a little bit, or we're kind of just joking around like, oh, this one's fun. I think one of them he was laying in a hospital bed and he was talking about the food, the hospital food not being great, and it was kind of just a funny scene, and he just had so many great stories to go with them, and I tried with every shot to kind of really be focused on that photo, but then also switch back and forth to getting his facial expressions a little bit and when he was talking about them. So we get a little bit of David and a little bit of the photos. And like you said, the focus is it's a shallow depth of field, kind of want to give that depth to it in the shots, and the lighting coming through the blinds was helpful in making it a little bit more contrasty and just more cinematic overall.
So you had those shots, but then you were able to follow him on. I guess he was doing a tournament. He was there. He's in the middle of a tournament.
Yeah, so we were trying to find what tournaments David was going to be playing so we could actually get some footage of him playing. And San Diego is where David's from, and there's a tournament in Indian Wells, which is in Palm Springs, and that was one that he was going to play. And David, if you want to talk a little bit about that, I'd be happy to let you talk about the tournament you
No,
played.
yeah, no, sure, sure. It's funny because listening to Alex explain about the shots, here in my kitchen area, at the desk where we're shooting those pictures and stuff, it's phenomenal because I mean it's just a testament to how good Alex is at his trade and his craft, and that those were all like basically one shot. It wasn't like, oh, hey, say that again, or hey,
No.
I missed that. Can we do it again? It was like he was spot on and ready to go from the moment I started looking at those pictures. So it wasn't even like staged. It was purely natural. It was very easy for me, like I said, to just speak what was going on during those photos in each particular photo. And he was able with one camera, right? He didn't have five cameras set up in different
Yeah.
positions. It was one camera. And when you see it on the film, I'm blown away at how rad it is and how good it is. And you're just like, man, that's incredible. So then, yeah, Alex came out to San Diego. We showed him around. He'd never been out here, so we wanted to give him kind of a little bit of the San Diego vibe as well, not just, hey, it's just David, David, David. So we went to the beaches and went to some fun restaurants and had a blast. And then got the opportunity to go play at a tournament up in Indian Wells that Alex could be at, and we got the approval to film, and we were able to film during the event. Not just myself, but some other individuals at the event. Some of
Yeah.
the matches that I was playing, some of my practices, and some of my warm ups, and all of that. So it was a great opportunity to really show um, a small part into what wheelchair tennis is about, with my life as well. So it was awesome. I was just super fortunate and lucky to have him in that situation in that place at the time.
It was
Yeah.
also pretty amazing that you won that tournament. So
It's a
Yeah,
good point.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
pressure with the
yeah.
camera.
Yeah, right. I mean, it had been a while, I think, since I'd won a tournament, so I almost feel like I better have you come to every event now with me and just have that camera right in front of my face so I play a little better, or maybe it's a little extra motivation or
It
something.
tells you
So
Yeah.
something. It tells you something about you, though, because you're able to. Someone who does a lot of athletics himself is that the pressure's on, right? Because the cameras are on you, so you're not in your usual comfort zone, right? One would assume.
yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, you stepped it up. Most athletes kind of go down when there's the pressure's on, right? It seems like you kind of went to another level to win the tournament.
Yeah, it's ironic because there are a lot of things that I feed off of, not just tennis. You feed off of the impact of family and friends and people watching and supporting.
Yeah,
So it just that was the cool part of it is like I got to know Alex better than just in the environment of our clinics and stuff. So it was the feeling of just a friend, a good friend filming for our own sake, not for a film's sake. And so it made it, it intrinsically motivated me kind of, rather than this is for a film. This was like kind of more for us. And so it felt a little easier for me. And,
Yeah.
and then obviously having Albert in the background and really promoting and pushing and just became this like really good intimate feeling between the three of us. And so it was really nice. So
When you watched the final, like the film that we're watching right now that we saw, did you have any insights? Did you have anything to like recommend? Did you just like it? What he showed you?
well,
We surprise screened him. He didn't get to see
yeah.
it until all of his family and friends got to see it.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
because
Yeah, we were
like,
actually.
yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Albert.
Yeah.
We tried to keep it a secret as much as we could, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is something special. And I was like, I want to be there when he watches it. I think for the first time, right? But we showed him the trailer beforehand, and we set up a live screening for him and all his friends and family to come to for the first viewing. Something that Alex also did, which we've not done with other films, is he provided a first look and then the first 8 minutes of it as separate cuts of the film to me
Okay.
before we even got to see the final version. And something that we've never done before is I got the first look and then I got the 8 minute part. And after the 8 minute part, I was like, I want more. Like, I don't want this to end right here. Like, I had the feeling of like, I need more of David. And like, I knew more was coming, but like a lot of times when you get to the 8 minute mark, it's like, okay, when is this over? Right. But like, we got to the 8 minutes and I was like, I need more. I need more. And I need at least 6 or 7 more minutes of this story, or like I need to know what happens next. So I
Yeah.
was really happy about the whole procedure, or the whole, not procedure, but like the whole like events of happening,
Yeah.
where we got to show David the story for the first time live together.
And I think the really awesome part about it was it was uh it was at the same place that we filmed during the clinic, and it was actually run during a tournament that I help out with there. And basically, I'd say 90% of the people that come to my clinics were playing that tournament. And so it was a long day for everybody because they had been playing. And we started, I forget what time, but it was in the evening sometime. We started the film, and every single person that was there for the tournament, not just the clinic, but for the tournament. So some of them had to play the next day. Every single one of them stayed and supported and watched. And the beauty of it was a wheelchair tennis tournament that was going on. It was a USTA, like a national tournament, as opposed to an international tournament. And the beauty of it was every single person in that room that was at the tournament has a story similar to mine.
Yeah.
Yet every single person that was in the room with the similar story was super moved by it, and just it really brought out the emotions of people who have lived it themselves, as including the others who have not gone through that. So it gave a glimpse of, yes, it's my life, but the person sitting right next to you has a very similar story. You might not know that person, but now you have a little bit of an insight into, wow, this impacted not just this one person, but all the others in the room with us watching it for the first time.
I'll even take it to another level. I think that, well, of course we didn't experience what you experienced, but we all kind of go through difficult times, like in terms of like there's different levels of I think what I'm trying to say is that we are with you, like we understand your journey, like as a just from a human level, right? Like I think everybody can relate to your journey if that makes sense to you, right? So I think there's something deep in your film. A superficial question: how does it feel to have a bobblehead doll?
I love that bobblehead doll. I love it.
What's that?
The David's bobblehead doll at the end of it,
Yeah,
just it nodding, was such a good way to end that film. I love that. Sorry, David, I'm speaking for you, but
yeah. How
how
does it
like
feel to have a bobblehead doll, David? Can you hear us or no?
David, where'd you go? David.
So I've always wanted a bobblehead doll. So I'm just like, so I think it's great that he has one. Sorry that we lost him. But Alex,
Yeah,
you're still here,
he
right?
just texted me. He lost sound.
Okay. So Alex, you're still here, right?
Yep, I'm here.
So tell me about this film almost seems like a one man show for you. Like, did you do you did all the cinematography, you did everything?
I did, yes. Every shot, every sound bite, like everything was just me with the camera and a mic, and then me in the editing room.
That's impressive. It's the new age of documentary filmmaking in so many ways, right? If
Yeah,
you know what you're doing, you can do it all.
definitely. And I think I love what I do, and I love making just beautiful imagery, and cinematography has always been my favorite part of filmmaking, and just getting the prettiest shot that I can. And I think some of the shots I was able to get out in California yielded, I mean, some of the most beautiful shots I think I've taken so far in my career. And so I was just super happy with how everything turned out. And it was a fun challenge as well. It was the first time I had ever had to travel with my camera equipment, like on a plane before.
Mhm.
And so to basically take everything, my entire, career, and pack it into a backpack, and try to, bring it on a plane was a challenge in itself. But I just brought the bare essentials, and everything worked out, and was able to stay really mobile through the whole trip, because obviously everything was kind of fast paced. We started in San Diego, and then we went to Palm Springs, and so we had to drive from there, from San Diego over to Palm Springs. So keeping everything as compact as possible, so that way we could kind of pick up and go as quickly as we could. Uh, Obviously didn't have to be as compact when David was here in Charlottesville, because
Mhm.
I live close to Charlottesville, and so I was able to bring a lot more gear out. But yeah, everything was, and I feel really fortunate that everything was something that was kind of within my control, and just to be able to work on it entirely, it was definitely the best experience I could ask for.
And then you did the post production as well. You edited it and did the sound design as well.
I did, yes. So I spent about, I think after the final shoot from California, spent probably about, I don't know, 2.5 weeks just really focused on the edit. And I knew that I wanted to just kind of dive into it as soon as I got back, because I'm someone who just, once I know it's there, like I can't focus on any other work at that time. I just really have to get through it, because it's in my mind, it's fresh, and I'm just excited to work on it. So I got the initial cut done in probably about 2.5 weeks or so. I mean, I sent it to Albert pretty quickly for like a rough draft. I was like, "Hey man, this is done," and uh, and then I worked on the rest of the edits later, because we had a couple breakout versions that we did in the trailer, of course, and so those came further down the road. But again, I was working on my laptop for the most part, because I was actually traveling out of country. My girlfriend's in medical school in Grenada, so like I even just brought it there, and I was just sitting at the house there and just editing the rest of the film, or the breakout versions rather, in the trailer, all by myself, just on a little hard drive. And um, it really, I put a lot of time into the sound design. I like to feel, I like the audience to be able to feel fully immersed in the film.
Yeah.
So to really do some sound design, and we've got some of those photos coming up on screen, the little whooshes that we hear, and then obviously the music.
Yeah.
I always think of my music kind of before I even film. I think it's just something that I like to do to kind of draw out the emotion, and especially with David's story having a lot of, ups and downs throughout the film. We want to have music that kind of carries that emotion a little bit, and ultimately at the end, I think we were able to leave it on a high note, and that the bobblehead kind of leaves it on a funny note at the end as well. And so I think just all of that together, you feel good, you feel empowered by it at the end, and that was the goal in the edit for me. So
Well, it's impressive. Like because after when I watched it the second time, I was like noticing the sound design. First time, I'm just like, I'm immersed into the film. I'm like, this is a really good sound design. and for this documentary, and I'm like, did he do everything? Because it's like there's no list of credits at the end, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
so have you done a film like this where you did everything?
So the other one I did on this kind of scale length, 25 plus minute doc. The other one I did was the one that screened in the festival where I first met Albert. And that was for, at the time, I was working for local TV station here in Charlottesville, CBS 19 News. And we were celebrating our 20th anniversary as a TV station. And so I had pitched the idea a couple years prior about doing kind of like a documentary, just kind of documenting day in the life stuff of news, because I didn't know much about it before I started working at a TV station, and my role was a commercial producer. So I made a ton of TV commercials, which was awesome. And so I wasn't really in the newsroom, but I was seeing a lot of what was going on, and I wanted to kind of like let people know what's going on when you get your local news. A lot of people don't consider what's going on. And so I had pitched that idea, and when our 20th anniversary was coming around, they gave me the green light to kind of just run with it, and they gave me a lot of freedom to kind of produce a film, and so that was the biggest project I had done at that point, and now David Story has taken that spot. So
I'm assuming you're gonna do more. You're gonna make more films like this.
I'll do more. Thinking about what's next, but
You
we've got time. There's no rush.
In the horizon. Feature documentary.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, like I said, this is almost. I could argue that this is almost like a proof of concept of a feature film, because you can like I said, there's so much to dig deep in his past, right? About like going through that emotional, physical trauma. That there's a story, obviously a story there, right?
Yeah, and I think, in fact, David, I think you texted me at one point. You were like, "Dude, we can make a feature film out of this."
There you go. So, sorry about the audio. I don't know what happened, but David, I
sorry about that.
How does it feel to have a bald head, though?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's funny. Yeah, my when I saw it the first time, I kind of giggled and I laughed a little bit, but it definitely is really good. It's funny. I only have two in my entire house, and they're both kind of right next to each other, and they're like they're guarding my wine rack. And it's me on the left and Ken Griffey Jr. on the right. So it's like awesome. I feel like we're in good hands there.
Yeah. It's funny.
The wine is protected.
It's funny that my son is 7 and he's already becoming a big baseball fan, and he's watching old YouTube videos of Ken Griffey Jr. And he's Ken Griffey Jr. is the best. He makes all those catches, and it's like it's so funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he definitely had an impact in my life. Just, obviously I don't know him or anything, but definitely had an impact just watching him and growing up watching him play. So just definitely impacted my life. So it's cool to have us together, I guess, in a small way, I guess. So Alex knows right where it's at. He could probably picture it in his mind right now, right where it's at.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's pretty funny, and I had no idea. That's the funny part is like I had no idea that he shot that, and I gave Alex my car when he was here. He went and did a few things and shot without me, and picked up some footage and stuff, and so for me it was ironic or kind of cool because I wasn't there the whole time he was shooting. So honestly, I had no idea what really was going to be in there and what wasn't. And obviously I knew what we had shot, but I knew there would be a lot of editing and whatnot. So it was cool to see that. It made us all laugh, and of course everyone's like, "Whoa, where can I get one of those?" So that was kind of cool too. So unfortunately, I don't think there's any out there left. So
So Albert, are you? I'm assuming you're going to work with Alex again.
Yeah, I've already asked him what he wants to do next. So I'm looking forward to his brain going off and finding us on either more to do with David or another story, or how to work with Alex in a closer capacity. One of the things that you mentioned earlier was if he did everything, and we love a crew that does everything, even if it's just one person.
It's not a crew. It's a one-man show. Yeah.
Right. And him shooting the story and then editing the story, it'd be almost impossible for him to hand off the editing of all of his footage to another group of people to capture the connection that Alex and David had during the time, right? So even before he started shooting, it was Alex had this story in mind that he wanted to show to I guess everybody, right?
Yeah.
And if I used a second editor to bring in and create that story, we would have lost the emotional connection between the two. And I feel like that's part of the art that we're trying to show. And even when I use another crew that has editors that are associated with it, we still don't get the same feel and emotional connection between the film crew, the director, and the hero.
That's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
and so I purposely look for smaller crews to do something like this that do all of the editing also because A, it's their art and I don't want to take it away from them, but B, I find it better. And C, Alex said I'll be done in 2 weeks, and he was done in like the next day because he couldn't stop thinking about it. Right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I'll have this cut ready for you in by this date." And I was like, "Okay, great, that
Yeah.
works for me." And then like the next day happens, he's like, "Hey, by the way, I finished it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I had 10 more days planned of like me being like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going?" And I was preparing myself to have to do that, but then the next day he was like, "Hey, I spent all night. I took 15 hours of my day yesterday. Here's a rough cut of it. What do you think?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, okay." Like, sure, let's go.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for it to be so good so quickly.
It's almost like a tour documentary filmmaking. I'll tell you a quick story that I was just interviewing this guy, Don Scioli, he's in the 70s. He's a documentary filmmaker forever. He went to USC with when Bob Zemeckis and Lucas were there. And he used to do documentaries in the 70s. He would say that they would like the sound of the 35 millimeter camera would make so much sound and they would have to bring in like this huge crew for interviews, and it would take them like an hour and a half to set it up with the lighting and like, and then they only had so much footage with the 35 millimeter camera, and then they had to send it out, and then they would get it back a week later, and like, and everybody, all the subjects always knew that they were being interviewed and they were there, right? And like you look at 50 years later, and it's like this is an interesting time. Like Alex did everything on his own. He said he would never thought in a million years that we would get to this level that something looks so great where someone like you got this film, it's like the sound design from everything down is like it's top production level and it's done by one person. So it's amazing. I just like this is like how like it's only been 50 years, right? Like how far we've come, right? So
So true.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I know nothing about film
yeah.
and making film, obviously, but to see that what Alex did in one basically one shots of everything. There were very few let's do that again or very few say that
Yeah.
agains. It was pretty much just one go and he hammered it out and knocked it out of the park, you know, and I think about going back to when we first watched it the first time. I had never met Alex's mom ever. Um, and she came up to me immediately when I walked in the room and gave me a big hug and just was like, I feel like I know you. I've seen so many edits and so much footage and so much everything.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like, whoa, okay, that's awesome, right? And like so you know that he really put in the time
Yeah.
and it wasn't something that was just halfway done, you know, and his mom is awesome. Much like my mom, I'm sure he has a wonderful relationship with her and
Yeah.
bounces his ideas with her. And so it was pretty awesome to see that in
Yeah.
that aspect, you know, and just knowing that Alex did it all, every single thing. I mean, I remember saying to Alex at one point during it, I'm like, it's got to be a little easier if you're doing it yourself, right? And he was like, oh, yes and no, right? Like there's yeses and
Yeah.
there's nos. But being the videographer and shooting the footage,
Yeah.
you have in mind as the editor and the creative mind behind it all, you know exactly he knew exactly what he was shooting for. And oh, let me get this angle or let me get this shot because I'm going to use it this way in the story, as opposed to here's a bunch of footage, watch it, and then figure out how you wanted to make the story. So it was awesome. And yeah, I hope we get to do another something somewhere down the road.
You
Yeah.
might will. All right,
There's,
guys.
oh, sorry.
Good.
There was a point that he said regarding people knowing him before he even walks in the room.
Yeah.
And I feel like I fanboy so hard when I meet like one of the heroes that we film, because I rarely get to meet any of them. And so when I do, I'm your biggest fan for so long, and like Alex makes all the films, but he sends them to me and I watch all of them over and over and over again. I put them on our Roku channel, I put them on our website, I put them on social media. I'm the one that cuts them down to reels and stuff, and so I'm watching David's story over and over and over and over again. So when I meet him, I'm like, you're like a celebrity to me. Like you're like I get so excited, and like I freaked out when I met him the first time, where I lost the ability to speak at one point, being like, you're here. I had to meet my kid and my wife. Like I brought my wife and my kid to the screening, and I was like, can I take a picture with you? Because like I'm gonna want to remember this moment for like forever, because the story is so good. I'm like one of your biggest fans now, and you don't even know anything about me or know who I am, like, right? Because I'm always behind the scenes and we've barely spoken at that point.
Yeah.
And I come in and I'm like, David, I know how many tournaments you've won. I know where you've been the last year. I know everything about you. And it's a little overwhelming for kind of both of us, right? Because I'm fanboying so hard, because like I've watched this story over and over and over again. And I found it funny that like Alex's mom kind of did the same thing, right? Where she's seen all the edits,
Yeah.
and she's like, David, I know so much about you and you have no idea who I am. It's surreal. It's one of my favorite parts about this whole thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is awesome, but yeah, I do think it speaks volumes to truly how good Alex is at what he does. You know, to tell a story to people who don't know you at all, and they're just seeing snippets of what he's doing before it's even fully put together. And then all of a sudden they feel like they know the subject in the story, like best friends or people you've known forever, right? And so that's just a true testament as to how good Alex is at what he does. So
I'll finish it off to saying Albert knows good talent. I've seen him do it before, time and time again. He knows how to trust good talent as well. That's even a bigger thing, where he knew that Alex would carry the film home across the finish line, which, you know, some people can't do that, no matter how talented they are. So basically, Albert has a certain a sniff or eye for talent. So congratulations for everybody. Hope to talk to you guys all again, and best of luck with the film and everything else that you're doing, and maybe feature film when we talk again when the feature film is made.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. We appreciate it.
Thanate you, guys. I appreciate your time. All right, have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
You too.
All right.